Hey Tribe, I watched this video called There's Nowhere to Run, Face Yourself. I'll put a link up and down there, um, by Spiritrek. And I really liked this video and I just wanted to expand on his ideas. So he talks about basically working with yourself. Like you come into this life and this is the body that you have and the experiences that you have as you grow up and in your adulthood. This is all the information. This is what you are working with. And it's really important to face yourself. It's really important to pay attention to yourself, to take note of your behaviors and your thoughts and your actions, almost as if you are looking at yourself as an observer. I found that this is really easy to verbalize, but to actually put it into practice, this is what helped me to put it into practice. Mirror therapy. So many times I notice that people become a little bit nervous about eye contact. Just something as simple as eye contact. So what's helped me to face myself more is mirror therapy. Basically just taking some time out of my day to just look into my eyes. No judgment, no thoughts, no feelings, and this is much easier said than done. Initially when you start this, you won't be able to look at yourself for more than a few seconds. That's just because we're in this program of distraction. We're in this program of not paying attention to ourselves, not focusing in on ourselves, but focusing on everything else that's happening around us. So initially you're going to be having all these judgments about yourself, all of these thoughts, negative, positive, whatever they are. The point is to try to get to a space of stillness when you are facing yourself. And on here and on this dimension at this time is becoming our greatest versions, letting our quote higher selves embody us as much as possible. And this is a process of creation that we've been out of this practice for some time, but becoming your greatest version is not comfortable. Why is it not comfortable? It's not comfortable because you have to face all of your traumas. You have to face the parts of yourself that you consider bad or the dark side, your shadow self. It's not easy because most people would just rather ignore these sides of themselves, would rather not have to deal with facing themselves in the mirror, but instead distract themselves or run away from themselves from one situation to another in order to not have to deal with the essence of who they are and what we have become as a result of being here in this dimension. The greatest version, a lot of people feel like they see that as, wow, I'm going to be like in a state of bliss 24 hours a day. No, that's not real, because becoming your greatest version is, how do I say, it's kind of like you have all this pressure. Say you have 150 pounds of pressure coming from the society that's judging you, that's telling you this is what you should be doing, this is how you should be doing it, this is when you should be doing it. Like, you have all this pressure coming in from family and friends and all, you know, whatever forces that are out there that's making you feel like this is what you need to do instead of doing what it is that you want to do. So becoming your greatest version is kind of like you have to put more pressure against that. So if it's 150 pounds of pressure coming towards you, you can't do 100 pounds of pressure. You can't do 150 pounds of pressure. You have to do more than 150 pounds of pressure in order to push through the illusion of separation, in order to push through the traumas and really the programming that's having us to be distracted from ourselves. And so that's not very easy. It gets better as you practice, and it gets better in time if you're consistently working on yourself. You're consistently looking at yourself. And the Spiritrek describes it as, if you're here, then you can kind of come out of yourself and observe yourself and notice Like, these are the things that I need to work on. These are the things that will make me my greatest version. Just taking note. And I think one of the first things to do, because we're so embedded in this 3D separation lack matrix program, is to first just take note. Just very, very simply notice when you are reacting in a way that is not really the most beneficial for yourself. Just notice. Like, if you get angry for some reason, don't judge it. Don't judge anything. Initially, just notice it. Just take note of it first. And that's all you have to do. You don't have to. People get so nervous because they feel like, oh my God, I reacted this way and now I have to fix it right now. It doesn't happen that way. It happens, I think, for me anyway, by just taking note of it. Just take note. Okay, this is how I responded to this person. I felt defensive, or I felt sad, or I felt inadequate. Whatever the feeling is, just take note of it initially. Now, after you do that for a little while, it becomes easier to start observing your behavior. So now you're coming out of yourself and just kind of maybe just looking at yourself. So that's the next step after. Just take note. Just take note. Don't evaluate. Don't judge. Don't try to analyze it. Just take note. And then it comes to a point where you can just start observing yourself. And after you can get to the point of observing yourself, then you start studying yourself. Then you might want to start writing down the things that you do. You start writing down the programs that are coming out of you. So many of us are on autopilot most of the day. 95% of the things that we do in our daily life is coming from the subconscious mind. So we think that we're in control, but really it's only 5% of our conscious mind that's making decisions for us, that's why it's so important to face yourself. It's so important to pay attention to what's going on in your subconscious mind. And a lot of the stuff that's going on in your subconscious mind are things from the past. Most of them are from the past. You have to take note. Think back to your childhood. Think about traumatic events that happened in your childhood. With intention, you can figure it. You can figure this out and get these memories out and start analyzing and start healing the child. You can start healing your traumas. Another interesting thing about mirror therapy is when you meet someone else. I like the way he described it. He described it kind of like a reaction happens when you meet somebody. It's really just a reflection of yourself. And it's almost like a chemical reaction. When you put one chemical and you put one chemical together with another, then like a reaction happens and then a third thing comes. Something else happens. Just like an equation, 1 + 1 and then equals, you get something. So you meet someone, that's a reflection of yourself, and a chemical reaction happens in your body, in that person's body, and something else comes out of it. So notice when you meet somebody, and if it's just a quick meeting or a long-term meeting, pay attention to what chemical reaction is happening. Pay attention because it's important. It's important because it's reflecting what's going on inside of you. So if you're imbalanced, if you're uneasy, then the reflections around you are going to be imbalanced and uneasy. You kind of have to approach this almost like in a Buddha type of fashion, kind of like be real peaceful as much as you can. Notice your reactions and try not to let the autopilot programming respond for you. But if you need to, just take a step back, just breathe, and don't judge. Note on breathing. Breathing is something that's so powerful. We all know this. But this is, I feel like it was a message that I got from a sacred plant that I commune with regularly. The plant told me, breathe life into your body. Breathe life into your projects. Breathe life into your family. Breathe life into your children. Breathe life into the people around you. I think that this is critically important because we're always talking about the breath and how it rejuvenates us and it keeps us healthy and it makes our mind clear. But we can also use that breath and breathe life into those around us. If we see that somebody's having a conflict, if we are really interested in completing this project, and literally, not just figuratively, but literally, you have this project or whatever it is that you're doing in front of you, and just take a deep breath. And the exhale, there's something so powerful in your exhale. It's power. It's a force. That's why in so many creation stories they say that whatever the creator was is breathed breath, breathed life into what their creations. So we have the same power. Of course, we're under amnesia right now, so we don't remember it. But that doesn't mean that our body doesn't remember it. It doesn't mean that we can't recalibrate ourselves and reprogram ourselves to remember our creative power. Freedom is in the present moment. And in order to get to that present moment, you have to be able to face yourself. You have to be comfortable with yourself. And not comfortable in a way that, oh, everything is going so great in my life. I don't think that's realistic. You have to be comfortable in your skin, in your body, where you're at in your life. Respect the choices that you've made in your life up to this point. And the present moment is what gives you that peace, that calmness, that wholeness. Because we're very fractured. We're fragmented, just like a light becomes fragmented when you put it through a prism. It's kind of like that. That really is a reflection of what's going on with us. We're fragmented right now, but the whole idea for us wanting to be here is so we can learn how to reintegrate, so we can learn how to become whole again. So that present moment, when you breathe, when you're only focused on your breath, that's present moment. And it's being in the present moment is something that it's a practice. This is not going to come overnight, because most of the time we're either in the future thinking about something that's going to happen, or something that we want to do, or something that we're dreading, or something that we think is going to happen that's making us be in the fear vibration, or we're in the past. We're thinking about something that we felt guilty about, something that we wish we would have done different, some trauma in the past. We're always constantly in the plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or the negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're never at zero. We need to come back to zero, and that zero place, that's where freedom is. And if you can stay in that place and in all of your interactions, in your daily interactions, you will feel a profound sense of wholeness. It takes practice to get here. And believe me, all these videos that I make are for me too, because this is a work in progress.